Caleb Owens broadcasting, special broadcast on the Honda celebration of light and more. Today, as I returned last night from the Honda celebration of light. Big fireworks show, drone show. It was quite good. Felt very religious at points, just staring up at the sky at drones making the Honda logo, shaking, kind of in awe and adoration of our corporate overlord of the night, Honda, that make good cars and apparently good drones. It was a very good time. I had fun with my friends there and the staff members that were watching me. And good that they were, because there was a lot of open drug use at this event. Now, you might not be shocked by that. It is Vancouver. But I was a little shocked. I expected the weed smell. You can't go anywhere in Vancouver and not expect the weed smell. It's going to smell like weed anywhere you go. The hospital, elementary schools, the cemetery, anywhere you go in Vancouver, sans maybe Point Grey, you're going to smell weed. But we saw a man wearing a baggy clothes. He had a mullet, a mohawk mullet. And he kind of turned to us at one point and said, "What a bromant for you guys. What a bromant." And we're just like, yeah, man. Great. I didn't really participate in this conversation. I was staring up at the Honda logo. And he then turns and takes a bump of cocaine off of his Ray-Ban glasses. He's sponsored by Ray-Ban. I'm sponsored by nothing. Which was intense to see, certainly. It is a little bit sad to imagine that man's life. Now that I'm not as young and naive as I once was, something about being alone with a mohawk mullet, doing coke off your sunglasses at the Honda celebration of light in Vancouver is either very, very sad or very, very cool. And I can't really settle on what I think it is. It's, on the one hand, you clearly don't care what people think. Cool. On the other hand, nobody's thinking of you. Bad. You're alone at the fireworks show doing cocaine off your sunglasses. Not a great life. Or maybe it is. When you're in recovery, you can't afford to judge people who are not in recovery. It's the kind of moralism and dogmatism that leads you nowhere but defeat. So it's important that when you're at an event and a questionably altered person talks to you, you don't judge them, because they're not responsible for your problem, right? Like there was a lot of people drinking beers at this thing, Modelo's, Coronas, you name it. And I'm an alcoholic, and it's not society's fault that if I drink a beer, I will end up in a Burnaby trap house smoking crank. That's my fault. A little bit of accountability. It's actually nice. The weed smell was so pungent, though, that it did remind me of being a teenager, because it was a specific type of weed smell. It was like bad weed smell. Like whatever this weed was, it wasn't from a dispensary. It was bad weed. And I remember the smell of bad weed because I used to smoke a lot of bad weed from local drug dealers in Smithers, British Columbia, such as, the lesbians. There were these two lesbians that sold weed. This kid Joey, who sold us weed and stole weed from the weed he sold us. And smelling that bad weed really brought me back in like a quantum leap moment to being a 15-year-old juvenile delinquent, smoking weed in the park, at the school grounds, wherever I was, in a stranger's car, wherever you are. smoking weed as a young kid. Um, you remember it not as much when you're older, like I am now. I'm 22, and that's not much older, I know, but I don't have the strongest recollection of my party days in high school. Like, it's just not bound to happen. I mean, you're using substances all the time. Your memory's going to get weak, and that's kind of just the deal. Like, you have to be content to say, yeah, I was crazy back in the day. I don't remember a lot of it. Um, but the sensation of smelling that bad weed really sent me back, sent me for a loop. Um, I was pleasantly surprised by this and a little bit affected. Like, I did kind of want to smoke weed after that. But the thing is, folks, and this is a really important message for your kids, if you're an older person with children or if you're a younger person, this is an important message. You do age out of weed. At 22, I'm too old for weed. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this. It's not a fun one. Not every pill you swallow in life is a sweet pill, but it's true. Weed is for 10 to 20-year-olds. You are 10 to 20 and you smoke weed. That is the legal in the eyes of God approach to weed. You don't smoke it when you're 30 or 40. God forbid you smoke it when you're a senior citizen. That's just embarrassing. But it's probably most embarrassing to be in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're smoking weed. You should be doing something else. Whether that's a job or Oxycontin is up to you. You make that choice. But be cooler than that or be more professional and responsible than that. Don't be a pothead when you're old. It's not cool. It doesn't make sense. Drink a little wine, pop a pill, smoke a pipe. Do not take a bong rip when you roll out of bed at 12 p.m. when you're 28. It's disgusting. Little aside there. I'm sorry to people who are going to be affected by that. I can't put the weed away from you. You can still smoke weed if you want. I just want you to know you're being judged by God when you do it. And if you don't believe in God, which you probably don't, reefer madness, you're being judged by your peers. Lisa, the cute barista you've been talking to, thinks it's gross that you smell like weed when you come in for your mocha. Your mother smells the weed on you, and she cried that night because she's worried she raised a dud. So just bear that in mind. Whether it's by God or by your peers, stay away from weed unless you're a child. Thank you. What was I even talking about? That subject really gets at me, and then I have to do a whole thing. After the fucking... I don't know why I have a podcast. After the celebration of light, we did a little cafe rip. Went to Brecca. I believe it's on Denman. It was quite nice. I got a Belgian cookie, little Belgian cookie, and a iced mocha latte with the last of my money for now. And it was pretty good. Good purchase for the last of my money. I ate the cookie quick, and I chugged back the latte because I was probably internally stressed about all the boozing and coke and weed I had just witnessed. There's probably a part of my subconscious that wanted to run away to East Hastings. Speaking of East Hastings, we had the pleasure of driving through East Hastings, the downtown east side of Vancouver, on the way to English Bay and back from English Bay. What a little town that place is. What a little community that place is. It's so fucking beautiful. And I said something in the car. I said, if you are sad when you see East Hastings, you don't really understand the Canadian dream. And someone in the car is like, oh, it's so depressing here. How can it be so beautiful as a city, but so depressing? Womp, womp, womp. I'm not engaging with that sort of behavior. Do you want to know why I'm not engaging with that sort of commentary? In recovery, you have to be able to see the positive and the negative. It's not all positive in the positive. Oh, I'm at a nice park. Oh, I got a job. Oh, my mom's talking to me again. That's all lovely. But if, when bad things happen, as they do all around us all the time, you do have to be able to take a step back and find the positive in it. For example, say your friend cancels on you to go to lunch. You don't wow and cry that you got canceled on going to lunch. You actually use the time to clean your apartment a bit or read a book. You find the positive in the negative. Say maybe you fall and scrape your knee. You laugh at yourself. It was funny that that happened. You do not need to get emotional, get sad about it. You just need to find the positive and the negative, like I'm saying. So when I go through these tastings, I don't say, oh, that person has no leg and I think he's dead. No, I say, what a community. Look at the street art. I think that says pussy. What a community. You see a lot of very mobile disabled people, which is actually fucking lovely. No one's talking about that when they discuss the great tragedy of the downtown east side. You see a lot of disabled folks getting around. You know how happy I am to see someone in a wheelchair speeding down the sidewalk? Speeding down the sidewalk? That's nice. Accessibility is a struggle, and everything is accessible in downtown east side. Everything. So that's nothing to be concerned about. It's actually a lovely community with a great and storied past. And yes, there's a little bit of problems with certain things, but I don't think it's as bad as people say. When I drove through there, I had a sense of hope, a sense of optimism, and a little bit of relief that I'm not there because with my alcohol issue, I could certainly end up there if I'm not careful. And when I do, I'll be a tour guide. I'll say, hey, sir, welcome to East Hastings. Let me show you the characters. Let me show you the sights to see, the little cross sign with the neon sign that's across that says East Van. Let me show you that. Here's Mindy. She's a one-legged fentanyl addict that thinks she can see the future. It's a nice time, and I would be grateful because I like community. And frankly, here in Surrey, we don't have a lot of it. We have a lot of roads. We have a big mall or two. And people just walk around. Kids walk around just muttering to themselves, type shit, type shit, type shit, type shit. And adults are in a state of like schizophrenia here where they're just scared of their car being stolen. So they're rushing and you can't even really talk to any of them. And when you do talk to people in Surrey, you distinctly wish you didn't. Mostly it's people coming up to ask you for a smoke or to ask for directions. Sometimes in the smoke pit where I live, I've had people come up and ask where to find drugs. And that is the nicest human experience I've actually had while in Surrey. Someone just honestly coming up to you and saying, hey buddy, do you know where I can get crank? Is nicer than someone stopping you in the fucking superstore and being like, oh, it's crowded here. Isn't it crowded here? Bitch, of course it's crowded here. This city is a hell. It's the East LA of Vancouver. And I do like it. And I'll cover why I like it a different time. Because I would like to get to the purpose of the special broadcast today. I wanted to talk a little bit about Canada, my home country. I'm a proud Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian, and a lot of people are not. I mean, in the last 10 years, the 10 years of Trudeau, a certain confidence was peeled away from the average Canadian, where they no longer feel like this country is as great as it once was. There was very much a wokeification, so to speak. Horrible term, something Warren Kinsella would coin, but everything got very corporate and Starbucks and we see you and climate fight while we buy pipelines. And I think this new era of Carney, this new era of Canadian nationalism is going to be very good for the country after 10 years of Trudeau. Because you can only take so much Starbucks, so much corporate liberalism. It gets a little exhausting after a while. And I think after the ninth year, people just wanted Trudeau to go. You know, they saw all the problems in the country, the unaffordability, the crime, the housing sector, the affordability, which I think I already said. They saw all that and attributed it to Trudeau. I appreciate that they're not attributing it to Mark Carney, because I believe that Carney may be a once-in-a-lifetime leader for this country. I'm not anti-Carney, as some people might expect. I might come out on the anti-Carney side. I actually like him. I like banks. I have nothing to do with them. I have no credit, and I'm in rehab. But I like the idea of a bank. I don't know what happens in a bank. I think you go in there and you take out coins, and you go do what you do with your money, your pesos. But I like his economic background. I don't know what that means either. But I'm just an average Canadian voter. And I don't know a lot of the words that I'm hearing, but I like them. God damn it, I like them. One Canadian economy, what does that mean? I don't know, but I like it. I like it what he's talking when he gets up there and says we're building one Canadian economy. And I think the promise of Carney is the promise of Canadian nationalism again. The sort of Jean Chrétien, Pierre Trudeau, Diefenbaker Canadian nationalism that we're trying to become more independent. And again, I don't know what that means or what that would look like. But if it's building a pipeline, having the natives come out and sage it so there's no protests, so be it. Major projects need to happen for one Canadian economy. I didn't know we had all these Canadian economies. I'm aware of the black market and the legal market. That's about it. Have you ever done a Trustfall? The game where you stand and close your eyes and fall backwards and hope that your partner will catch you. Have you ever done that? In this moment now, it is the time to do a Trustfall with the Canadian government. Trust the government now. If you didn't trust the government under 10 years of Trudeau, if you thought he was Fidel Castro's son or whatever you thought, trust the government now. They're going to deliver better results. Trust them this time. Maybe you're an old head and you really didn't like Stephen Harper and you're just glad that that dorky Millhouse fucking corporate stooge Poilievre didn't get in. Whatever your politics, do the Trustfall. Trust right now that the Canadian government will deliver results. Trust right now that housing prices will go down for no reason. Trust right now that safe supply, harm reduction, whatever you want to call it, will start to contribute to lower rates of drug addiction and death. Just trust them this time. Because when you don't trust at a critical moment to trust, you lose out. And you can go through this life cynical and disaffected and oh, the government is just the same party in different ties. It's just the same party in different ties. Well, aren't you smart? Maybe. But we got a guy right now who ran a bank, ran the coins, and he's a smart guy. And he's going to fix it. He's going to fix it for us because we can't fix it ourselves. And on the topic of trusting the government, I saw a letter to the editor edition from the Calgary Sun that was quite disheartening to me because it said something, and I'll read it out for you guys. Said something a little cynical and callous, I think. I'd like to read this right now. Calgary Sun, letters to the editor. As some other countries already did, it seems it is time for Canada to dissolve this dysfunctional union and form 2 to 3 new countries. Our 13 governments just can't find the way to prosperity for Canada as a whole. We are getting poorer and poorer, while our leaders tell us everything is going well. Canadians are in love not with Canada of today, but with images of Canada many years ago. Unfortunately, that Canada no longer exists. Get it out of here. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that. If you think that's true, you're crazed. Crazed. The Canadian dream is not dead. In fact, the new Canadian dream is just starting. It's just come alive. Let me tell you the new Canadian dream. This is my lived experience, nobody else's. But let me tell you the new Canadian dream. What that cynical writer is not taking into account when he wrote that letter calling for 2 to 3 countries. I don't know what those countries would be. That's a little stupid. But the new Canadian dream starts when you're a teenager. You go out with your buddies to the park, and you see the popular kids, and it smells weird. It smells like a skunk. And your friend says, "Hey, look, those kids, let's go say hi." And you go say hi, and those kids are smoking weed. And you get peer pressure. One of your friends drops, then the next drops, and you're up, and you drop, and you smoke a little weed. Couple years go by. You've been drinking, you've been smoking weed, you've been having fun. High school's fun. You're out of high school now. You don't quite know what to do. So you get a little job at let's say Boston Pizza. I've worked at Boston Pizza. Let's say a Boston Pizza or a Montana's. And you do your little job, and then one day the line cook in the back that you like, your buddy, your pal, is in his car in the back lot, and you're in the car too. And he pulls out a little white baggie. And he says, "Manager's gone today. We're having fun today. This is going to be a closing shift. Let's make it a closing shift." And a couple years go by, and you're living life, and you're 24, 25, and that girl you used to smoke weed with, that girl you had a little connection with, oh, that was a cute high school love, she looks at you and she's afraid now. Because you're collecting cans on the side of the road. And you're covered in piss-stained clothes, rags, and you see that girl, let's call her Sarah, and Sarah, who used to look at you so fondly in the back of her Jeep at Lookout Point, looks away from you because you're struggling to pick up a can to put in your cart because you have a gaping infection on your leg, and when you move, it stings. Sarah's scared to look at you, and you got in a big fight with your mom because you tried to get in her house, and you're not allowed in her house, and you kicked the door down, and she had to call the police. But you settled out of court, no charges. Your mom cried a lot. It's okay. A little bit of time goes by. You've woken up in the hospital a few times. And now you're in rehab. You're at a rehab center in Surrey. And you spend your days doing little things, having breakthroughs. Maybe Maybe I'm an avoidant attachment style, and that's why I've just ran away from my problems, like my mom being mean to me, and that those feelings of inadequacy I had with Sarah all those years ago. And you paint now. You're a little painter. You paint little trees and little paintings, and you have a lot of fun with it. And you are in rehab, and you're doing well. 3 months goes by, you get lucky, you get a room in transitional housing. A couple more months go by, you still paint, you're getting pretty good. You're getting pretty good. You reconnected with Sarah, and she says she's proud of you and that she was worried about you when she saw you collecting cans. You talk to your mom once a week. You got friends at the rehab that you go out to the smoke pit and shoot the shit with, and it's funny, and you don't have to be fucked up to have fun. You can just talk to your friend and say, you know, Cheryl the cook, she's a fucking bitch. And everyone agrees, and you laugh, and you laugh with a full belly because you're fed and you're healthy and you're good. And one day, a couple weeks later, you go to the Honda Celebration of Light, and you look out at the fireworks, the big Honda logo in the sky, and you think, Christ, this is beautiful. I never thought I'd make it this far. I was collecting cans in the street. And now here I am, all that time later, and I have made it. I'm healthy, happy, and sober. And you're with a buddy, and looking out at the lights, and someone taps your shoulder. You turn around and you see a man with a mohawk and a mullet. He says, "What a nice broment for you guys, eh?" And you go, yeah, it's a nice broment. It's a nice broment right now. And he offers you, out of his pocket, a little white bag. Couple weeks go by, a couple months go by. Sarah sees you, and you're collecting cans. You got. You go to the food shelter every day, the food bank, and you get a little macaroni and you eat it. You live in a fucking squalid little trap house, and you smoke down with teenagers, and you're not dead yet. Couple weeks go by, get in touch with a social worker. They're also readily available from the government here. And you're back in rehab, and you're painting, and you do it all again. Time after time after time, you do it again. That is the new Canadian dream. Free food in rehab, cheap housing in after rehab, and relapsing just when it's getting good. Thank you, and good night.